It is Swindon Town 3, Grimsby Town 0, and this one stings.
Hi, welcome to this week's Three Fish on the Shirt. I'm Dave Dixon, and this is Three Fish on the Shirt, at Three Fish on the Shirt on all our social media channels, and on YouTube. If you can subscribe, click the notification bell so you find out when we do new content, and make a comment so that we know you're out there. And if you've got anything you want to ask us or put your viewpoint forward, please feel free, and it really helps us find more town fans and more football fans find the channel. So if you want to do that, that'd be brilliant. But onto the football this week, which is, say, a difficult week. The one game, the one place we didn't want to go and lose that away record was away at Swindon to Ian Holloway on his 1,000th game. Although, as I pointed out on Humberside at the weekend, I only count him as having a good few games less because you can't count the games he had at town. To call that management would be poor. To just follow this Holloway story before the match, he came out with what I can only, and apologies for the language, but not dress it up as bullshit before the game. Let's have a little listen to what he said.
The struggle was above me. The club was being fought for by two businessmen. And that's something I shouldn't have been involved with.
There's a couple of things here. Shouldn't have been involved with, probably not, but he was a shareholder and manager and had made a commitment to put quite a bit more money into the club, which he may or may not have had any ambition to fulfill. In reality, the truth is he was there for quite some time and he didn't fulfill that commitment to put that money into the club. If that's the level he wanted in at, sorry, mate, that's your own doing. Let's listen a bit more.
If that wasn't happening, I might still be there.
Yeah, if that wasn't happening, you might still be there because of what you'd been promised by a previous owner who had not the greatest scruples, let's say. Let's be fair to him. Not the greatest scruples, and a very shady character brought into the club who was enabled by the person you trusted. So forgive us if we don't trust you and the reasons you left.
And that's a fact. And the reason I'm not there is nothing to do with anyone else.
Which is quite convenient, really, when you think about it. You don't have to think too hard.
And because the fans don't know why I'm not there and why I didn't stay when they thought I might, I'm sorry, they're going to have to keep guessing.
We don't have to guess very hard. We're not rocket scientists, and we don't need to be. It's very clear. New people coming in, scrupulous, successful business people who showed you the courtesy of speaking to you about possibly taking over when it was at a stage of moving on quite nicely as a takeover. Once you realise your mate wasn't going to be there, you were off. And you don't want to talk about it because it's embarrassing, frankly.
And if that's what upsets them, that's none of their business.
Actually, yeah, you could argue that if you wanted to make yourself credible again with us, you might want to explain it, but I get why you won't, because it'll be embarrassing.
And I'd be wrong if I actually started to talk about that. So at the end
For the same reason I've just outlined.
of the day, the club changed hands and I left. Right? I wasn't actually there when they got relegated. The people I left there weren't in a relegated situation when I left. And if they want to blame me for that, that's entirely up to them.
First of all, two things. One, we don't need your permission to blame you. That's up to us. We're more than happy to do that ourselves. Thank you very much. Secondly, we know that in scrimping and saving and gambling with rubbish players on long contracts, piling it up because you thought the COVID season was going to get cancelled, you gambled with the very existence of the club in cahoots with your mate, the de facto owner of the club. So we know, we're not daft.
But that's totally irrelevant to where I am now.
Which is correct. Although you did say yourself you'd probably still be there, so it's not totally irrelevant, but never mind. And that is the end of Mr. Holloway's bullshit at the start of the pre-match.
This is TNT Sports' Adam Summerton, and you're listening to Three Fish on the Shirt.
So on to the game. It was a difficult match for the Mariners. Went behind after just 2 or 3 minutes when Ollie Clark put the ball in the net following some poor work to clear the ball by Town. Admittedly in difficult conditions. Swindon looked to have the better of the wind behind them in the first half. And although Town tried to get the ball down and play, other than a few good balls in from Hume and missed headers from Cass on a couple of occasions, Town never really looked like scoring. Managed to get forward on a couple of occasions and force a couple of corners to make a bit of a contest of it. But if the truth be told, it was difficult to see a goal coming before half time. So as half time approached, we thought, maybe keeping it down to 1 and making the best of the conditions in the second half could have paid dividends, but it wasn't to be when Chishmanga managed to put the ball in the net just before half time to make it 2-0 and make the second half seem a bit of an uphill battle, even though there was a hope the conditions would help. That wasn't to be either. The conditions abated a little bit just after half time, and Town, even coming out to attack, contrived to give the ball away to concede a third. Prior to that, they'd given away a penalty when Luca looked to slightly harshly been judged a penalty, but there wasn't too much complaint from the Town contingent. But the Swindon man managed to spoon the penalty high and wide, giving Town a bit of a chance to stay in it at 2-0. But that third one went in after Jordan Davis was robbed of the ball as Town came out on transition, and it was 3-0 before we knew it. Subs came on in the second half. Too late for some people, but David Artell decided to go 3-5-2. Brought on Gardner, Corey, and Pike for Davis, Green, and Barrington. And Town looked like they were going to try and create a bit more time and space for themselves to create a chance. They managed to get McEachran in through the channels. He was felled by a Swindon defender and won Town a penalty, which Danny Rose duly converted. That brought the game to 3-1, but then at 3-1, Town struggled to chase the game. Didn't really know when to twist and when to stick, and the game just sort of petered out really. And I had a conversation with Mike White on Radio Humberside after on what I thought of the game. So let's have a listen.
It's live broadcasting, but good to have you listening, Robert. As always, I know you're a keen listener. Dave says, poor selection for me. How Davies kept his place after last week, I'll never know. Corey offers much more for the team. Let's stay on the subject of Grimsby Town. Let's talk to one of our fans panel guests. Dave is a Mariners fan, a different Dave now than Dave.
Hi, Mike. How are you doing? Season greetings.
And to you, thanks for being with us. Give us your thoughts, your reaction to that today.
Well, there's a couple of aspects. There's the non-footballing aspects and the footballing aspect. The first of all, the one place we wouldn't want to go and lose that away record would be at Swindon. No particular beef with Swindon, but to the ex-manager that we've got, that I don't count his 38 games with us, so he's only managed 962. Because to say that's management is not right. So, yeah, that's disappointing. But completely off that subject, on the pitch, it just wasn't great, was it? Really poor start, and just picking up on what I've seen of late. When we go behind, we seem to not be able to chase the game very well at all, and we look to run out of ideas really quickly. And I get the points about is there a plan B? And I think I've seen some comments this afternoon as well about it being looking too formulaic all of the time, and maybe a bit of pragmatism is needed. And I can think of one great example of that was when we're losing 3-1 close to the end, and you're thinking another goal, 3-2 would make it an interesting finish. And we get a throw in just on the edge of their box, and the ball ends up back with Jordan Wright. Now, I get the formula, and I get not giving the ball away, and I get building from the back, and I've got no problem with that. And I like a lot of what's happening with that at Blundell Park at the minute. But in the sort of 85th minute, when you're chasing the game, just chuck it where it's going to create some danger for me, and that's the bit where fans get frustrated and the like. I think
we hear it a lot, and we talk about it as commentators and pundits as well. But is the Plan B accusation sometimes a bit of an easy stick to beat teams with, though? I mean, if they believe that their way of playing and it's something that they do all the time, do you not stay true to it? Are you not selling out on your beliefs if you say, we've got to have this Plan B? Plan B is the thing that's going to get us out of trouble.
I actually agree with you, Mike, but that's why I provided an example of a moment where a bit of pragmatism might well have overridden it. And I don't necessarily think that is Plan B. But all I was saying was I get the point about people saying it. But yeah, I've used it before myself in Paul Hurst's reign, that we didn't have a Plan B when things weren't going right. And looking back on my own comments, half the time you think, well, what do you actually mean by that? Today, there's those little things like that, which is the things that just look like we haven't got an idea to be able to do something different, even if it's just a one-off. Making it look like we're really, really, and I'm sure they are trying, but making it look like they're trying to create some danger, put the ball where we don't want it. And I say this to one of my fans who's close to me a lot, is when we end up in danger, it's because they've shoved the ball right where we don't want it, and that's what Swindon did in the first half and the start of the second half. And we didn't do that at all, even in the scenario where 3-1 down, lumping it into the box from a throw in, which is right close by, would have seemed to be at least a positive measure. And again, it just sucks the life out of you as a fan when you at least got a bit of hope alive in you.
Yeah, I will admit I was probably playing a little bit of devil's advocate, because I think sometimes you absolutely can see a side that needs to resort to a Plan B and change it and everything else. But I think it's sometimes that easy stick to beat teams with, isn't it? But you gave a very good example. You gave a good example.
Yeah,
you mentioned.
I was ready for you, Mike.
You always are, Dave. You always are. A couple of messages here that came in, and you mentioned about Paul Hurst. This one says, no name on it. It was a text. Always try and put your name on it if you can. Can someone please get David Artell a new book to read this Christmas? We need him to stop reading Paul Hurst's substitution delays, like-for-like changes, and their effect on the game and fans. Today was pathetic. Second worst defence in the league, and we only really challenged the keeper twice. We need to get the chequebook out in January and go and get someone like Linney at Altrincham, 14 goals in 22 games. What do they need to do in January, Dave? Where should they be looking? What are the key areas for you?
I think we've built our goals, that we have scored. We're not badly off for scoring as it happens if you compare us throughout the league, because we've been clever, and the build-up play when it works is really good. And that delivers the goals, but we haven't got that out-and-out finisher. We'd have done better in a lot of other games had we had a proper punishing finisher who would have stuck the ball away first time. So that's always been top of any town fan's list of things to sort of wish for and hope will be under the tree on Christmas Day. But it's always difficult in these leagues, because if these guys are the guys that sort of we're after in that situation are any good, they tend to end up higher up. So yeah, it's difficult, but we do need somebody with that ilk who can get a chance and not squander it and know where the goal is. But yeah, who's available? Who'd want to come? And if you go down the leagues, which we've tended to, can they step up? And that's not was automatic. The Altrincham idea, the chap we just put forward, Linney from Altrincham. Yeah, he might be brilliant, but can he back it up, and would it suit our game? Is another question. So yeah, but I struggle with us always being sort of, or often being Danny Rose flogging his guts up front on his own, and that can be a bit soul destroying at times, especially when we're not looking like creating much. And it has its place, and I'm not knocking it. And as I say, after a defeat like today, it's easy to be really negative. But generally, overall, I'm still really happy with what's going on at Brundle Park, and I think it deserves to, and I think it will improve, and we will get better.
I think that's a very good point. It's easy to get really down and deflated about a defeat, isn't it? But Town in general, I know the home form needs to improve a little bit. They did get that result recently. But I think in general, you look at where they are in the table, there maybe needs to be a bit of perspective given some of the messages I've been reading and seeing on social media as well. Dave, good to talk to you as always. Thanks for joining us. Have a great Christmas, and we'll catch up soon.
All the best.
Dave's a part of our fans panel.
And one of the things that was concerned to hear after the game was that Danny Rose said he felt that Swindon wanted it more, and having been through the whole Holloway situation before the game, it was abundantly clear that the fans wanted to win that game more than probably any they have this season already. And to hear that is disconcerting. And Danny said he didn't want his words twisting, but that they were his words. I think he kind of must have meant it just looked like they wanted it more, given that they put it on us from a big lads up front, big lads at the back, a lot of wind about, so they're putting the ball into difficult areas, and then they bullied us. And I think he said the word he used was we were shocked, and I think maybe as a result of that, he must have meant that they felt like they looked like they weren't up for it as much as Swindon were, rather than they weren't up for it. But nonetheless, he's tripped over his words there a bit, I think. And I think given that he's one of those players that puts in a lot of effort on his own a lot of the time for scant reward, I think that's forgivable. So yeah, it was an awkward listen that little bit on the radio the other day. We'll just have a little listen to that now.
Now with McJanet down the left hand, will try and piece together a move. Infield by Hume, stray ball, looking for Cameron Gardner, but there is McEachran who comes into the penalty area and he's upended. That's got to be a penalty. It is. Yeah. George McEachran slalomed his way through the red shirt and was taken out, and it's a penalty kick for Town. Rose with his hands on his hips against Barden, the Swindon goalkeeper. Danny Rose sends the goalkeeper the wrong way and has made it 3-1 here at the county ground as Town try to shift the dial to get back into the contest.
Matt Dean's been talking to Danny Rose.
Danny, what did you make of what we just seen there?
It's the worst, I'd say it's the worst performance of the season, yeah, definitely. From start to finish, how we started the game. We had a little bit of a go in the second half, but it never felt like we was in the game. We started the second half not well as well, and they smelt blood. You could tell with the conditions they had the win first half, and they smelt blood. First goal in the first 10 minutes or whatever it was, and then a goal just before half time. It gives us a mountain to climb, doesn't it? And yeah, we'll dust ourselves down, but we know that's miles away from where we've been this season, especially away from home, because we've been really good away from home, and that was the total opposite to everything that we said before the game that we was going to do. First tackles, first headers, first duels, everything, and we've done the total opposite and lost every single one, and they've won it.
Why then was there a departure from what you set out to do?
I don't know. I've no idea. Everything felt as prepared as we normally are for a game, but like I said, I think probably the start, it's almost like we were shocked, but we knew we shouldn't have been shocked because we knew it was coming, especially with the wind. And they, like I said, they smelt blood. You could tell with the team that they put out two big strikers, big back three, long throws, corners, you name it. They put it on us, and they probably wanted it a little bit more in the end, dare I say. But
why? Because the fans clearly wanted to win this game, and for them to hear that from you will concern them. Why do you think?
I don't know. It's not that we didn't want it. That you could just tell by their performance. It looks like they wanted it more. But like, I'm not saying like we've gone out there to lose a game. I don't want my words twisted, because that's definitely not us. You could tell away from home, we've been really good. And today we just weren't at it, and it's come against a team and a manager that I've heard that the fans really wanted to beat, and we've let ourselves down. We let the fans down. But like I said, we've had some good away trips this season. We've just got to dust ourselves down and go again, because the game's coming thick and fast.
So a disappointing end to the last game before Christmas. But nonetheless, as Danny's just pointed out, there's plenty of games to go thick and fast through the Christmas break. And it's time for Town to pick up that home form and get those 2 home games won, followed up by a couple of important away games at Accrington and Bradford on the New Year's Day and the 4th of Jan. So best leaving games like Saturdays behind. Looking forward, at the end of the day, we're still up there in 8th position, and we need to remember that positivity and some of the good performances, know what the guys are capable of, and get behind them over these next few weeks. So on that note, we'll end this short episode just to keep us going in the Christmas week. Wish you Merry Christmas, one and all the best, and we'll see you with some episodes over Christmas to cover the Christmas games. Thanks for joining us. Take care, and we'll speak to you soon.
This is John Sander. You're listening to Three Fish on the Shirt.